Hey there, good morning. I'm John. Today is Thursday, July 6th, 2023. This is my daily vlog. If you've been here before, you know, had a job, lost it, didn't go looking for a job, decided to try to take content creation and do something with that. It's been several months now, a lot of growth, a lot of ups and downs, but it's about following the journey and seeing what it's like. And getting up every morning and turning on the camera to make sure I stay motivated. That's what it's all about. Let's start by talking about yesterday, which I did. All right, so I got the podcast out yesterday. We got it ready to be published yesterday. It is out today, so a brand new podcast is available. We edited on Tuesday. I had some publishing tasks to get done yesterday, which I did. You remember yesterday I said I wanted to focus on preparing for that next tier, and hooray! I focused on and got tons of stuff done. So I've reviewed all of the titles. I've recorded footage for all the titles. I've done 95% of the writing. I've created all of the video reels and all the B-roll and all the rankings and all that. So like literally I could show you the finished tier right now. I'm not gonna do that because that would be a spoiler and that'd be terrible. But it's all done and ready. And so now more today that I'll talk about in a second. So I focused on getting that next video ready. I felt throughout the day that, man, I had a video out on Monday, and then I have this planned for the end of the week, and like I keep thinking I need to squeeze in one more video. But here's the thing: it's like, as we have now found, I'm not throwing darts in the dark anymore, right? So we have found these types of videos that perform really well, and so now that we've gotten some tuning, it makes sense to focus lots of effort on. Look, I could create 3 videos throughout the week that might create 5,000 views a piece. Or I could spend a lot of time this week creating a video that I expect to earn 50,000 views, right? So while I would rather, I guess from a standpoint of variety, I would rather be able to put out more content that might hit more people. The reality is now that we have found a type of content that does really, really well reliably. So it just makes sense to focus on that. Now I feel bad that it leaves behind other things that I would like to get done. I mean, they're not going anywhere. They'll still be in the future to do. And more about that at the end of the video, I think. This is not a discovery so much as something I've found myself doing recently that I want to talk about. Again, because I always think about this vlog, down the road, 5 years or so, somebody sees this and, and they're like, I'm trying to go full time, and they can see kind of how this goes, and discoveries I wish I'd made, 6 months ago are being made now, but I'll talk about that in a second. Let's talk stats. Just yesterday I was saying when things start cooling down, I'm not going to be depressed. Things are starting to cool down, and I feel fine, right? Because we talked about yesterday, these elevated stats, we just have to treat them as fortunate anomalies. They're windfalls, they're not guarantees. So look, we're still doing really, really well. I think yesterday was over, oh heck, I haven't even looked. I saw the chart, I want to say it was like a 40 or 50,000 view day. Not the 100,000, but look, it's still, it generated over 170 some odd subscribers yesterday. We now have over 1 million views in the last 28 days. We crossed a half milestone in views. We just hit 5.5 million views. All that happened just yesterday, and that brought our subscriber count up to 30,000 was just like 2 weeks ago, right? And then last week was 31,000. With the great week we're having this week, we're already at 31,940 something. So I would expect by the end of the day, we're gonna hit 32,000, which would be 6 days. Now I don't expect 1,000 a week. That's not gonna happen, right? I don't think. Like, I would be happy about it, yes, but I don't expect it. That's my rational brain kicking in, going, just because you have a fantastic week, and that if the next week is not that, don't be depressed, don't be disappointed. More importantly, it's about not counting your chickens, right? It's like, okay, well, that week was great. Let's see what next week brings. We can guess, we can project, we can plan, but we can't control what gets seen and what kind of engagement we get. So I'm gonna be grateful for this week that I've had. That's the thing I didn't do right last time. I didn't stop and make sure I was grateful for the week I had. Instead, I internalized and normalized that success. And then when it didn't happen later, I was like, oh, it's terrible. No, that's You get 2 epiphanies for the price of 1 today. The second one's coming later, but this one, I think I didn't allow myself to be grateful for the windfall I had. And I am for this past week. I mean, this past week was crazy. I should never get over 1,000 views and 1,000 subscribers in a week. That's not how this works for me. But it did, and that's cool. If the next week doesn't, I'm cool with that. That's my extra bonus epiphany and talking about the stats. Let's talk about today. Today is still about working on that tier. Today I need to do the stand-up, which is all the writing. I have a little bit of 5%, like I said, more writing to do, just a little intro and outro. And then I have to stand here and talk about 21 titles, I think. Run through all the pros and cons and crush people's dreams and tell you your favorite is an F, whatever. I'm going to do all that so that I can start editing, and tomorrow will be all day editing with a target of releasing this video into the day Friday, more likely the morning Saturday. It depends on how the days go. But that's my huge plan. Huge plan. And sometime during the afternoon when my wife gets off work, it's Strange New Worlds Day, right? New Star Trek episode. Man, I love that series. Just makes Thursdays extra better. So let me talk very briefly about, we were just speaking about earlier about how choose to focus on these videos we know perform really well, which I'm doing. So you'll remember I had this long form video I was working on. I talked about it for several weeks and I had pieces strung around my studio, and I still do. It's restoring this old console and testing it out. I still want to do all that. And I think it's going to be great. However, there's this thing in when you write or do screenplays or anything, and I think it applies to projects when you're doing creation like this. Is that I'm sure you've heard it. It's called "Be prepared to kill your darlings." Just because you are passionate about this one thing that you're dying to do, unless the reason you're doing it is just to satisfy yourself, sometimes you have to look at what is the cost and the risk analysis of focusing on this thing you want to do, if in fact there is a more assured thing available for you or a more prudent thing to do. I still want to finish that video. I still have not put the parts back in a box. I still keep telling myself, well, I'll find time to work on that thing that I really wanted to do. And I'm sure I will one day. It's just that it's not this week or next week or probably this month even necessarily, because I kind of have this month now lined up with, I was going in that direction, and then, you know, you kind of like this, I was going over here, like, whoa, what's going on over here? And then turned, and we're like, well, if I go, I got to backtrack to go back to there. So it's to say that probably months ago, I would have just head down, continued to work on that video, and ignored what was going on around me. What are the other things going on? Like, nah, it doesn't matter. I'm working on this right now. In reality, that was half done, and I could have finished it at any point, but instead I realized that the right thing to do for growth and engagement, you know, working toward our goal, was to actually shelve that and stop thinking about it, and then move on to these other things. Going back to it's going to be tough because I got to get back in the mindset, remember what all I shot, remember what I talked about, almost start over eventually. But I would not have done that months ago because I would not have had the discipline to realize, well, I'm trying to build something here. You can't just do what's for you. You got to do what people are clamoring for. It just makes sense. So killing your darlings is a phrase that I always heard. I'm not a screenwriter. I'm not an author. I've heard that said before. But now I get it, and it applies to here. You have 5 things you want to do. Do those 3 things really contribute to the growth and success you're looking for? Or are those 3 things just things that you kind of it'd be fun to talk about, and these other 2 are actually ones you pursue? You might think, well, fine, I'll do them all. Don't plan on doing them all. Do the ones you know or you expect will do well, and if they do well, reevaluate. If they don't do well, maybe go back. If they do, consider leaving those behind. Consider killing those things you most wanted to do in favor of doing what's prudent and working toward growth. I think I learned that, and I think I've been following it the last few weeks, and I keep seeing those pieces lying around, and I'm like, man, I really have abandoned that. I didn't abandon it. I decided to do something different. If I don't get back to it, that's okay, because I'm doing something productive. So it's not a failure, it is a choice, I think. Maybe it's a little failure, but it's a big choice, so that's what I think about it. All right, time to get busy today. I want to thank you for stopping in to check out today's vlog. If you did, if you're here every day, I love you for that. Thank you so much for being here. We'll get that assigned to a bus chart. You know, somebody said in a comment, I couldn't find the comment. Somebody mentioned they think it's cute that I call out people in the comments, and I planned on calling them out in today's video, and now I can't find the comment. So I saw your very kind comment about you like that I call people out. Next time I see you comment about it, I'll make note. It's like a totally fall flat joke that didn't work out because I could not find your comment for this morning to reference you, but I'll get to it. So thank you for that. Thank you for all the comments. I read them all. Have a fantastic Thursday. Do something good for yourself if you can, and I'll talk to you next day. Bye-bye.